Awaken to Galactic Consciousness, Pleiadian Wisdom for Ascending Beyond 3D. My dearest brothers and sisters of this beautiful planet, Lady Nada speaks. Greetings, I am Tenan Isma from Mayo, and I welcome you to the dawn of something truly extraordinary. In En Viajes al Espacio Profundo, the evolution of humanity's soul now bravely enters a pivotal chapter. You are learning to transcend existence within the third density, a realm defined by the physical, the sway of emotions, the ego's identity, and the relentless struggle for survival, and ascend into a higher level of being. This transformation is often described as becoming a galactic citizen, signifying conscious participation within a broader context, a community of intelligent life and spirit embracing the cosmos. Soar higher. Surpassing the third density means awakening to your true spiritual essence, realizing you are more than just creatures bound to flesh, isolated upon the earth. It's the profound realization that you are eternal beings connected to a universal family. The transition from a purely earthbound individual to a soul aware of its galactic citizenship requires a deep understanding of shifts in consciousness. The old mindset of separation and fear must be overcome, replaced by a higher awareness of unity, love, and divine guidance. Many spiritual traditions have foretold this evolutionary leap, speaking of the coming of a new era, a kingdom of heaven on earth, where humanity awakens to its inner divinity. In essence, ascending beyond the third density is a transition from a life driven by the ego and survival instincts to one guided by the wisdom of the soul and the light of the Creator within. In the state of third density consciousness, human life is often dictated by the ego's imperative to survive and act in its own self-interest. Furthermore, many are taught that self-preservation is the first law of nature, leading to a worldview where personal needs and security are paramount. Life on Earth, essentially 3D, is a spiritual classroom where each soul must choose between a life in service to self or in service to others. The unawakened person, by default, gravitates towards the former, building their life around narrow priorities. Generally, care is focused inward, securing one's own survival, comfort, and success above all else. The ego's primary concern extends to family protecting and providing for loved ones, tribe community support for those sharing origins, culture, or beliefs, religion or group's loyalty to one's own churches, ideologies, or values, nation, racial pride for the country or people, often placing them above all of humanity. This hierarchy of attention, me and mine first, has long characterized the behavior of third-density people, reflecting the polarity of service to self when the circle of concern remains limited. Conversely, when a person connects with the inner light, awakening to the Christ consciousness, Buddha nature, or Tao within, their orientation shifts dramatically. The awakened soul, abiding in divine consciousness, no longer lives primarily for personal gain, nor even solely for the good of family or nation. They are driven by a presence that transcends the human ego, the divine spirit within, and begin to live for the sake of higher purposes. Their circle of concern expands to encompass all of life. The guiding principle ceases to be survival at any cost and becomes the spirit of unity, love, and service. Such a person increasingly trusts in the one who lives within, the inner divine presence, which will provide, guide, and protect. Thus, they no longer cling to the old law of self-preservation. Instead, they follow a higher law, living by grace, knowing that in serving the whole, they too will always be cared for. You, dear starseeds, are making this leap right now. The awakened one gradually transitions from a life based on fear to one based on faith. When you realize, not just as an idea, but as a living experience, that there is a greater presence within you to face any challenge in the world, everything changes. As your scriptures say, "He who is in you is greater than he who is in the world, and I am with you always, even to the end of the age." Such promises cease to be abstract and become inner certainty. When a person is spiritually illuminated and begins to comprehend the nature of the Prime Creator, they begin to feel this divine presence as a real guide and power in their life. It seems as if a higher power goes before you on the path, and along with this understanding comes a profound relief from the constant anxiety and protective alertness that previously controlled your actions. Instead of living by the law of survival and suspicion, you discover that you can be in trust. The inner light, the spirit within, becomes your protection, your provider, your guardian. It is no longer necessary to rely on weaponry, cunning, or deception to overcome life's difficulties. The old desire to manipulate situations for your own benefit fades away because you feel that a higher intelligence arranges everything in divine order. In practical terms, this means that the cause of fear, the vanity directed at protecting yourself at any cost, is replaced by the quiet confidence that something infinitely wise and caring is looking after your well-being. You realize that you are never alone. The transcendental presence acts through you and before you. Knowing this, you can face life with courage and openness, not with defensiveness. The heart weakens its defenses and the mind. Okay, I understand. Here's the rewritten passage, maintaining all original content and meaning while adhering to your specific instructions, including character name consistency and continuity with the previous passage. The heart weakens its defenses, and the mind returns calmly, listening to the single divine voice of inner guidance. In this state of trust and surrender, life becomes simpler and flows more harmoniously, as if invisible hands clear the path toward your highest good. Another key to ascending beyond the third density is the dissolution of identities that separate people from one another. In their unholy state, people tend to identify violently with their own race, nationality, religion, or social group. And these identifications often give rise to biases and conflicts. But to become true citizens of space, you must transcend such narrow labels and realize the unity of the human family. Spiritually, the Awaken teachings emphasize that you all share a common source. Beyond your earthly origins and tribal connections, you are all children of the same divine first creator. This awareness makes you and me literally brothers and sisters on the same soul level. When you awaken to the divine spark within you, you cannot help but see the same light in others. Regardless of their external differences, old prejudices and biases begin to melt away. You begin to experience genuine empathy and kinship with people of any background because you sense the same life force in everyone. This shift is not about imposing political correctness or superficial tolerance. It is profoundly spiritual, understanding, I am another you. In fourth density consciousness and above, unity and diversity coexist in harmony. Each person is valuable as a unique individual, an expression of the one, and what causes harm to one truly harms the whole on a practical level. This means that your ideas about society and citizenship should evolve. True unity cannot be achieved by laws or policies alone. It requires an internal shift in perspective. Humanity, soft and sometimes hard, is being pushed toward this realization. There are increasingly more calls for global cooperation, recognizing that challenges like climate change, peace, or health ignore man-made boundaries. These external pressures serve as catalysts that motivate you to awaken to the truth that everything is interconnected. To join greater communities of enlightened beings outside your planet, you must first learn to be one people on Earth, all for one and one for all. This is a spiritual mandate that calls each one to explore and let go of any remaining prejudices or feelings of separation. In a higher vibrational reality, there is no place for the divisive pride of the ego in Galactic Consciousness Society. There is only humanity, and beyond it, the family of all conscious life. Realizing this unity is both humbling and empowering. It is humbling because it dissolves the ego's false sense of superiority, and empowering because it allows the love of the one Father and Mother God to flow through you toward everyone you meet. Such love and understanding are the foundation of the new world that you are building. Living as a being with galactic consciousness also means learning to surrender personal will to the higher will of the universe. You come to the conclusion that life is not at all random or chaotic. Your existence is based on an intelligent, divine plan. Every soul is born with a purpose, with a unique role in a cosmic pattern. However, as people, you often deviate from this destiny. From childhood, you may be directed toward certain ways of life by family, culture, or the ego's own desires, without drawing on deeper inner wisdom. You may find yourself in professions or lifestyles that do not truly nourish your spirit, and wonder, why do I feel anxious or uncomfortable? The reason is often that you lived up to the expectations of others or your own mental plans, instead of tuning into what your soul came here to do. To fix this, of course, you must turn inward and connect with the Creator within, with the higher self that knows your divine plan. Through prayer, meditation, and honest self-reflection, you begin to feel the divine hand guiding you, moving toward what is right for your experience. Following that inner compass can lead to unexpected changes, perhaps a new profession, a change of lifestyle, or a move to a place toward which you feel drawn as your life unfolds in a more authentic pattern. Shifting toward the divine plan can be complex for the ego that craves control. An internal struggle often arises within. One part of you clings to familiar customs and personal ambitions, while the other encourages you to let go and trust. This inner conflict can manifest as confusion, irritation, feelings of unworthiness, or fear of the unknown. It takes humility and faith to say, "Not my will, but thine be done," especially when you were taught to value personal ambitions and even consider some strong desires as virtues. And yet, on the spiritual path, even good desires must be explored. Are they truly in alignment with your higher calling? Or is it the ego trying to chart its own course? The awakened approach is to constantly ask the spirit, "What do you want me to do? Where do you want me to be? What do you want me to say?" And then listen for the answer. This does not make you passive or aimless. It makes you receptive to higher management. You learn to trust that by yielding to the plan of the universe, you are, in fact, accepting the most rewarding and meaningful destiny possible, far beyond anything you could have imagined. And, in fact, when you surrender, you often discover that the divine plan for you is much grander and more significant than you had ever envisioned. By letting go of personal will, you make space. Okay, here's the rewritten passage, maintaining all original content, adhering to the specified constraints, and continuing the narrative flow from the previous segment. To truly express your divine purpose, dear ones, by embracing this path, you delve deeper into life as a galactic citizen, where existence isn't solely self-directed, but guided by cosmic, divine love for the betterment of all. Ascending to a higher plane of consciousness entails implementing what your mystics term overcoming the world. This isn't about dominating external circumstances or other beings, en voyages. It's about conquering your own inner world, that lower self. It's about transcending the ego, those materialistic and selfish inclinations, the primal fears and desires that reside within. This is an internal victory far more demanding than any external battle. Your story exemplifies this ascending beyond. An individual might attain great secular power, yet remain enslaved by pride, greed, or fear. True mastery of the world, conversely, signifies achieving dominion over oneself. Your teacher, Tenan Isma, boldly proclaimed, "I have overcome the world." Though seemingly oppressive forces held sway in his time, he didn't overthrow the Imperio Romano or abolish societal injustices. Instead, he triumphed over the temptations of materialism, the allure of personal comfort, and the ego's demands within his own consciousness. In the desert, Tenan Isma faced the classic temptations that haunt all individuals. The temptation to wield spiritual power for personal gain and security, turning stones into bread to satiate hunger. The temptation to seek personal glory, demanding divine intervention to prove his uniqueness. And the temptation to seize worldly power, presiding over all the kingdoms of the world at the cost of his soul. He rejected each temptation, and in doing so, he died to the mortal self, that thirsting for security, praise, and control. What remained was his divine self, the Christ consciousness, radiant and free from worldly shackles. Each of you is now summoned to a similar inner victory, galactic consciousness. You must illuminate with the light of awareness your subtle aspirations for personal recognition and dominance, your fears of loss or failure, and your tendencies to react with anger or selfishness. You confront these shadows not through hatred or repression, but by understanding them and transcending them with the highest vision of truth. Through prayerful humility, you allow the false self to dissolve so that the higher self can resurrect within you Pleiadian wisdom. Overcoming the world within, you experience a kind of rebirth. Your identity shifts from, "I am a limited human," to align with, "I am divine." This doesn't erase your individuality or your joy in living, queridos. It simply means that your personality and talents are now directed by the divine center, not by the impulses of the ego. You understand that your kingdom is already here, not belonging to the third-density world, and your sense of peace and fulfillment no longer depends on external conditions. You carry the kingdom of heaven within yourselves. Lady Nada. In this state of spiritual freedom, you can walk through the same world as before, but nothing in it can shake your inner peace. This is true liberation and a sign that souls are ready to graduate from the 3D school and move to higher worlds of existence. Declare it today before the mirror, beloved star souls. I am ready to move to the next level of my soul's evolution through this human experience, my ascension, according to the divine laws of the creative plan. The path of spiritual development requires not only profound inner awareness, but also the practical coordination of your daily life with these higher truths. One of the important lessons for the future galactic citizen is integrity. Your actions should begin to reflect the spiritual principles you profess. You cannot serve two masters, ascending beyond. If you affirm, my security and sufficiency come from the Prime Creator, or all that the Creator has already belongs to me, but simultaneously act as if you are in despair, needy, or entitled to deceive and snatch for yourself, you will create internal discord. Spiritual truth is a double-edged sword, queridos. If you use it hypocritically or insincerely, it will sooner wound your conscience than bring you any benefit. For example, you might say, the abundance of the universe is infinite, but if you then resort to dishonest schemes or the exploitation of others to secure your own good, you will quickly feel a painful dissonance. Your words will speak of trust, but your actions will scream of fear and greed. This conflict between inner knowing and outer living can leave you worse off than before until it is resolved. On the path of ascension, any hypocrisy is exposed and corrected, not as punishment, but as a natural effect of ascending to higher levels of light. When you stand in the light, any deviation becomes clear and uncomfortable, galactic consciousness. Thus, you understand that you must live your truth as best you can. Living by grace as much as possible means trusting in the divine presence as the sole source and provision in everything and not relying solely on personal effort or cunning. This does not make you inactive or impractical, Pleiadian wisdom. You continue to do your work and responsibilities, but you do so in silent confidence that a higher power acts through you and for you. You make decisions based on intuition and love, not on panic or ego-driven ambitions. A simple daily practice can help you consolidate this lifestyle en voyages. Every morning, before diving into activity, take time to meditate, remember, and feel this presence within. Focus on the awareness that it is not by your human efforts, but that the source within you will accomplish everything. You can affirm it with words, choosing to live today not only by human will but by the grace of the divine being. In this receptive state, you can receive subtle guidance, perhaps the need to contact someone, an epiphany to solve a problem, or a feeling of peace that prepares you for the day. Following these inner impulses and maintaining integrity in your actions. Okay, I understand. I will rewrite the provided text, maintaining all original content and meaning while adhering to the specific instructions regarding character names, tone, and consistency with the preceding paragraph. I will also prioritize a literary style with enhanced description and emotion, changing approximately 20 to 30% of the text. Here is the rewritten passage. You'll begin to notice that life unfolds with greater ease and support. Needs are sometimes met in the most unexpected ways, as if orchestrated by unseen hands. Doors swing open that you couldn't have possibly forced open through sheer willpower alone. Living in harmony with what you know, deep in your spirit, to be true cultivates a harmonious inner environment. Over time, this inner harmony inevitably manifests outwardly, painting your external world with the same peaceful brush. You come to understand that fidelity to truth and unwavering integrity are not limitations, but rather profound liberations. They free you from the shackles of guilt and gnawing fear, sending a clear signal to the universe that you are ready to receive an abundance of grace. Living by grace, life transforms from a constant struggle into a flowing current, guided by an invisible hand, overflowing with blessings that often arrive as perfectly timed miracles. As your sense of self gently shifts away from the limited human ego and towards the expansive divine self, you discover an enormous capacity for love and forgiveness, a capacity that once seemed utterly unfathomable. In an egocentric state, you are often easily offended, quick to feel wounded. You might hold onto grudges, finding it difficult to release the grievances of the past. But as you awaken spiritually, this pattern undergoes a radical transformation. You realize that the very same divine essence resides within those who have hurt you, even if they are tragically unaware of it. Thus, you begin to regard others, even so-called enemies, with newfound compassion and understanding. Such profound teachings become practically applicable when you align yourself with the higher consciousness, because you are then connecting directly to the inexhaustible source of unconditional love that resides deep within. This doesn't mean that you become a doormat, a victim, or that you condone harmful behavior. Rather, you consciously choose to respond with a higher vibration, a more elevated frequency. You can establish healthy boundaries or seek justice when appropriate, but without harboring hatred or a lust for vengeful retribution in your heart. You discover that you can sincerely wish well-being and enlightenment for those who have wished you ill. This ability to forgive and release is a hallmark of higher density consciousness. It liberates you from the heavy chains of bitterness and revenge that keep souls locked in low vibrations. Instead of remaining trapped in a self-perpetuating cycle of pain and punishment, you transcend it. By granting forgiveness, you heal yourself in profound ways. Your heart remains light, and you carry an aura of peace that silently blesses all those around you. Ultimately, forgiveness means recognizing the fundamental truth of unity. What you do for another, especially in acts of love and mercy, you are, in truth, doing for yourself. The path to higher density teaches a fundamental truth. You cannot defeat darkness by wielding more darkness. In other words, negative energy cannot be completely dispelled by more negativity, whether it takes the form of hatred, violence, or revenge. The long and often tragic history of humanity offers ample evidence of this. Cycles of war have never led to lasting peace. As one of your wise leaders, Dee, once said, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." And this is truly a spiritual strategy for anyone who aspires to elevate their life. When faced with hostility or injustice, the typical third density reaction is to respond on the same level of aggression. However, the fourth density approach involves bringing a higher frequency to the situation, responding with empathy where there is anger, and with understanding where there is ignorance. It means meeting conflict from a place of inner calm, centered in the spirit through prayer or deep breathing, rather than reacting with panic or rage. This principle demands the use of spiritual force instead of brute force. If someone is treating you unfairly, retaliating in kind will usually only exacerbate the problem, while resolving it with integrity and patient suffering can transform the very dynamics at play on a grander, more meaningful scale. Nonviolent resistance in your world has demonstrated that moral courage can undermine oppression more efficiently and durably than armies ever could. In your personal life, each of you has the opportunity to practice this every single day, to light a candle instead of cursing the darkness. When you encounter negativity, whether it's a rude driver, a conflict at work, or your own fear and pessimism, take a breath and remember the light within you and the light within them. Instead of reacting immediately, call upon your higher consciousness. Affirm that divine light is present and active, even in these challenging situations. Sometimes, simply abstaining from an angry response and silently choosing the path of peace diffuses the tension. At other times, you may be guided to action or words, but now under the influence of love and clarity, rather than hatred and confusion. The more consistently you choose this higher path, the more often you will witness true miracles of harmony unfolding before your very eyes. Physical ailments that seemed incurable may yield to healing through the light of true prayer. Long-broken relationships can be restored when met with forgiveness and understanding. Even society itself can begin to heal old wounds when enough people decide to radiate compassion instead of condemnation. In the end, the transformation of darkness into light is the path of the master and the path of the higher cosmic spheres. It prepares you as developing souls for the responsibility of wielding great power, because you learn to use the only power that truly heals and unites, the power of divine love. Humanity as a whole is currently undergoing a profound awakening, and the signs of this dawning of higher consciousness are appearing everywhere. Until recently, spiritual practices such as meditation, energy healing, and enlightenment were relegated to the fringes of society or locked within the framework of certain traditions. Now they are entering the mainstream. Medical science is studying the effects of prayer and mental techniques on the body's ability to heal. Large corporations are providing mindfulness training. Okay, I understand. I will rewrite the provided Spanish text into English, US, maintaining all original information and meaning while adhering to your specific instructions regarding style, character names, tenanisma, Lady Nada, etc., and consistency with the preceding paragraph. I will focus on metaphorical and profound language, aiming for an attractive and engaging narrative suitable for a documentary video on aliens, UFOs, Ashtar, Arcturian, Pleiadian, Andromeda, Galactic Federal, and Ashtar Command themes. Here's the rewritten passage. And compassion, too, is blossoming in the workplace. Individuals from diverse cultures are now embracing yoga, energy practices, and contemplative disciplines. Even organized religions are undergoing a revitalization, revealing the profound significance of spiritual experience and the boundless power of consciousness. Many religious communities are now focusing on healing, direct mindfulness, prayer, and interfaith unity. In a very real sense, the world recognizes that your next evolutionary step is spiritual. As if at a collective soul level, humanity is declaring, you cannot advance as a species without integrating spirit into your daily existence. Across the globe, people are seeking a deeper truth that lies beyond the superficial differences of religion and culture. Ancient wisdom is being reborn, merging with modern knowledge to address the challenges of this era. This widespread spirituality and awakening are laying the foundation for your transition to fourth-density consciousness. There is no precedent in recorded history for this global fusion of science and spirituality, and for this rebellion of the heart. Some call this the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Others speak of a new Earth or the Great Transition. Whatever the name, it marks the birth of a planetary consciousness that will ultimately pave the way for you to enter the grand galactic community. However, the promise of a new era is not automatically fulfilled. Each of you as a ground team has a vital role to play. Every person walking the spiritual path today is a pioneer of this transition. The responsibility and the privilege rest upon you. Awaken. Implement the changes you wish to see. Live your truth and manifest the peace, wisdom, and compassion that spiritual awareness brings. You become a living example, illuminating the path for others. Just as one lit candle can ignite thousands, a soul ablaze with light can inspire countless others. And so, beloved ones, remember, the world you wish to see begins within you. With every choice you make, with every word you speak, with every intention you hold, you weave threads of the future into the fabric of the present. May your hearts be open and your minds clear, so that you may discern truth from illusions. Do not allow fear or doubt to extinguish your inner light, for it serves as a beacon for many who walk behind you. In this moment of great awakening, be among those who not only speak of love, but live it. Be among those who not only believe in the light, but radiate it in every moment of their lives. Through your actions and your inner stillness, through your compassion and your unwavering faith, you are aiding in the birth of a new earth. And when future generations look back on this time, they will say, these were the ones who held the light when the world stood on the threshold of great changes. These were the ones who helped humanity take a step toward a new era. Then you, like us, will know that all of this was not in vain. I am Tenan Isma. With love and respect, I leave you for this moment, knowing that our paths will cross again in the streams of light and in the breath of space. May your steps be gentle yet firm. May your hearts remain open to truth, and your spirits to divine guidance. We are always near, like a whisper in the silence, like a star in the night sky, reminding you that you are not alone, and that the great journey continues. Until next time, beloved, hold your light and carry it into your world. Thank you so much for what you do here, for following the messages and transmissions that we lovingly produce and share with devotion to you. Our channel exists to bring you a message of light, wisdom, and spiritual awakening. We are dedicated to sharing inspiring content, elevated teachings, and messages from our star brothers and sisters, aiding in the great transformation of humanity. However, sustaining this work requires time, effort, and resources. So, if you feel in your heart to support this mission, we invite you to make a donation via PayPal. Any amount will be received with gratitude and will help us continue sharing these messages in peace. The donation link is pinned in the first comment of this video and also indicated in the description. Your contribution is very important and will be appreciated with profound gratitude and love. If you do not have the opportunity to support us financially, your energy and support are also very valuable. Like, leave a comment and share this video so that as many people as possible awaken and accept this limitless light. Thank you to each of you. May the divine light always live in your hearts. See you in the next video. Peace, love, and light. Blessings. We send a very strong and tight hug to each of you from the teacher Lady Nada.